Let's get after it. Same thing we do every single morning on the early line. It's what we do. It's the SportsGrid Network. Get in the mix, people. College football, NFL, it's all coming up soon. And also, one coming up a little bit sooner than the other one. Yeah, we're going to wait till the first week of September, Joe, for that Thursday night football game in Philadelphia. But we're not going to wait too much longer for the college football season. Not this Saturday, which you'll wake up and yawn and be like, ooh, we're 7 days away from college football. I feel like we're not ready for the college football season, but we're ready for the college football season, if that makes sense, Joe. You know what I mean? Like just getting prepared to see it on your TV. And when it does appear in 2 Saturdays, like, this is fantastic. And then before you know it, it's like week 11. Like, what happened? Where did it all go?
Yeah, well, and what makes it even better, Donnie, is we're in an era in college football where there is a big push to play very meaningful games as early as possible in the season. And we are getting a ton of those in week 0 here. I mean, this is no longer Alabama versus the Sisters of the Poor. Like, this is, we are going to go mano a mano. We're going SEC, Big Ten. We're going Notre Dame, Miami. I mean, we have got monster games right out of the gate, and I love it that way. I think that's the way it should always be because, listen, these teams we know are likely going to be, at least the ones playing in week 0 are going to be top 10 teams with an opportunity to play for a national championship. If you're going to lose a game, I want to lose in week 0, Donnie, give myself an opportunity to be able to come back and learn a little something. So none of these teams that are going to lose, by the way, in week 0 can be ruled out of anything except maybe dropping in this poll here, which makes no sense to me anyway, if we're being completely honest here with how is Penn State the number 2 team is beyond me.
Penn State, quarterback returning back Drew Aller, dominant backfield here. But number 1 overall is Texas, number 3 Ohio State, 4 Clemson, 5 Georgia, 6 Notre Dame, 7 Oregon, 8 Alabama, 9 LSU, and the Miami Hurricanes are number 10. But you bring up a good point at this too. Like, it used to be like you opened up the season, and college football in the past, which I loved it. I love it now as well. You lose opening day, you're probably never going to win a national championship, even if you lost a game against a top 10 opponent, which seems like it wasn't fair, but that's just the way it was. Mythical national championship, you got to go undefeated, and you got to beat all those teams just to wind up in that championship game. But I got to tell you, there is something special about these early season matchups that get you so excited. Like in the past, we've seen it so many times at the Miami-Florida State games that used to play on Labor Day weekend were absolutely spectacular. One of those games in overtime, Frank Gore rumbling into the end zone, like sets up your entire season for success against a rival. But understand this, you do get some brownie points for loading up early in the season, and even if you take a loss, you can recover, and the polls will find kindly on that because they'll go, well, hey, look, 1 versus 2, 1 versus 3, 1 versus 4 in the preseason here, basically week 0, week 1, you lose that, you can rebound. In the past, you couldn't do that. And we're going to get a spectacular game, Joe, right off the start with Texas and Ohio State. And Ohio State's going to be at home in the Horseshoe, a slight favorite over number 1 Texas. The total is 47.5. Intrigue all the way around. Like, you could just dive right back into college football immediately and sink your teeth into an absolute thriller for what we're expecting.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it wasn't like Texas didn't have some success, right? In its infancy here in the SEC. Now they're the number 1 team in the country preseason wise, and that carries a lot of weight, but with that comes a lot of expectations, Donnie, and that Texas fan base might be one of the most unrealistic, unself-aware fan bases that you will ever see every year, though, like many schools, though, but Texas is over the top, and anybody that has seen the locker room renovations at Texas, have you seen those, Donnie, with what they've got better luxuries than NFL locker rooms right now at Texas. There is a lot of pressure for this University of Texas football team to come out hot on the road in one of the hardest places to play in the country at Ohio State at the Shoe and come out and dominate them, the champions. Good luck here. Can the Longhorns deal with all the pressure that comes with being number 1 is going to be what I'm interested to see.
Yeah, it used to be in the past, like every once in a while, we'd get those big games, call them the kickoff classic in college football. Usually play like the Meadowlands. I remember going to school in northern New Jersey, and the one year was Texas A&M, and it was Florida State to open up the season. I was there; it was fantastic. But you don't really get those matchups a lot. But now we are going to see a Titanic matchup within the first 2 weeks of the season, which is a lot of fun. And just again, looking at the Blue Bloods, because I'm like, oh, I'll give the other schools a chance. Like I like traditional teams. Like how many times, Joe, have you stumbled on like the 30 for 30s that run endlessly with the Catholics versus the Convicts? And Notre Dame and Miami and their legacies that they had, and old Notre Dame Stadium and Jimmy Johnson and Lou Holtz. Like those are the ones we love, rivalry games. And Texas Ohio State, even though it's not a blue blood long-term rivalry they played a ton of times, it's two blue blood programs going toe to toe, and those fan bases are so passionate and sometimes over the top. Like with Texas, expectations are a championship every year. Ohio State feels like their expectations are a championship every year, and they can fulfill them. Good head coach in Ryan Day, one of the best recruiters, in Heartline on the offense. But that's the way we go into the season, which then brings us up to what are the expectations for the season? Who are the teams that should be able to win a championship? And yes, you're looking at the top and the blue bloods that we just talked about. Texas, Georgia, Ohio State, Penn State, Alabama up there. If you had to take a shot right now, knowing what these teams are supposed to look like as opposed to what we know by like week 4, week 5, who are you going with preseason, Joe?
Well, it's interesting because nobody is talking about Georgia, which I find hilarious. But it's not like none of these these teams at the top, Donnie, don't have a lot of question marks. I mean, even Texas in the number 1 spot, they had 4 offensive linemen that they have to replace who are currently in NFL camps right now. 3 NFL draft picks. You have you've got a brand new quarterback in Arch Manning, although he has been there. This is his first year as a starting quarterback. And you have questions on the offensive line. And if you're Ohio State, you have to replace 14 NFL draft picks, 7 in the first 2 rounds, and you've got to kind of slot new guys in there. So you got 2 new coordinators. You got Brian Hartline promoted to call plays for the first time. Matt Patricia, because Jim Knowles left to go to Penn State, is your defensive coordinator for the first. There is a ton of question marks with all of these teams, especially the number 1 and number 3 team in the country that are going to face off with expectations of a national championship.
No doubt about it. Heisman race certainly should be a lot of fun to watch it play out. And Arch Manning is the favorite at a 7-1 price, followed by Cade Klubnik, Garrett Nussmeier 9-1, Smith 11-1, and Simpson 16-1. We know these things are going to change from times, but also if you're taking a look at Arch Manning being the full-time starter, going on the road and knocking off Ohio State, what does that number go to? I don't even care what he does in the game. He doesn't need 325 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, and 75 yards on the ground. Just win that game. He's probably going to cut that number in half. But opportunities outside of Arch Manning, who could you be looking for here, Joe?
Yeah, well, that's the problem. I do think that Clemson is a interesting undervalued commodity if you're looking in the futures market. And I think if that does come to fruition, keep in mind that Clemson defensively was atrocious last year. So what does Dabo do? He brings in Tom Allen, the former head coach at the University of Indiana. He brings him in, great defensive coordinator. I expect them to be much better defensively. And you've got Klubnik there, who is former Texas guy, who is no stranger to big games. He has been there. He has done this now. This could be a year here in which Clemson surprises a lot of people, and so does Cade Klubnik.
Yeah, how about Smith there as a wide receiver from Ohio State, 11-1 price. Absolutely talented. Who is it? Ryan Williams down in Alabama. You got some really good wide receivers, but typically it is a quarterback award unless you get a running back that's like, yeah, I'm going for 2,900 yards and 50 touchdowns here to try to knock some of these quarterbacks off the podium at this point. But we are excited, certainly for college football and the SportsGrid Network. Definitely going to have you covered here in the fall. Number 1, Texas. Number 3, Ohio State, right off the bat. Week 0 starts next Saturday, and away we go. Weeks 1, 2, 3, all the way through. The basically goes as long as the NFL with the expanded playoff. Now, you get a lot of college football in a short period of time, and I cannot wait for it to get started in just a few weeks. Yeah, the dog days of summer are turning into the dog days of football, baby, and we love that.